Why was GDPR introduced? Hello again. Welcome back to our series on understanding GDPR. In our previous article, we discussed what GDPR is and the basics of how it works. If you remember, we compared GDPR to a sheriff that helps protect your personal digital treasures. Today, we are going to delve into the reasons and the history behind the creation of GDPR. Ready? Let's get started. Once upon a time, data chaos. To understand why GDPR was introduced, we first need to go back in time a bit. Imagine a bustling marketplace where everyone is trading goods, but there's no set of rules. Some traders are honest, while others are not. People's items might get stolen, and there's nothing much anyone can do about it. That's sort of what the digital landscape was like before GDPR. Companies collected data without clearly telling people what they do with those data. Sometimes this data even got sold to other companies, and before you know it, your email inbox was flooded with newsletters and promotional offers you never signed up for. It was a bit like the Wild West, where anything goes. So there is a need for control and clarity. The digital world was changing fast, and old laws couldn't keep up. The European Union realized that something had to be done to make this digital marketplace more secure and fair. They wanted to give people, or data subjects, as we learned in the previous article, the power to control their own data. The EU also wanted companies known as data controllers to be more transparent and responsible. It shouldn't be like a magic trick where you don't know where your card, or in this case your data, will end up. Instead, everything needed to be above board. So we need to learn from past mistakes, Before GDPR, there was a regulation called the Data Protection Directive. However, it was like an old instruction manual that didn't cover new gadgets. It had gaps and inconsistencies and was not fit for the challenges of the modern digital world. For instance, remember the massive data breaches that made headlines? Companies like Yahoo and LinkedIn faced massive data leaks, exposing millions of user accounts. These incidents made it clear that stronger regulations were needed to safeguard people's data. So what are the goals of GDPR? The European Union came up with GDPR aiming to strengthen individual rights. As we touched on it in the first article, GDPR provides you several rights, like the right to correct or delete your data. Then, enhance transparency. Companies must tell you what they are going to do with your data and must get your approval. Boost security. Organizations need to put robust security measures in place to protect your data from cyber attacks or leaks. And also, it will hold companies accountable. The rules are strict, and the fines, as we mentioned before, can be astronomical for companies that don't comply. So how GDPR changed the game? Imagine you have a neighbor named Tim who borrows your lawnmower but never tells you what he does with it. One day, you find out he's been renting it out to others and earning money off it. Now let's say there's a new neighborhood rule. You must give explicit permission for how your belongings can be used. That's a game changer, right? That's precisely what GDPR is. It forced a lot of companies to change how they collect, store, or use your data. Now, Tim or any company needs your express permission to use your lawnmower or your data, and you can even tell him to bring it back anytime you want. Why does it matter to you? GDPR matters to you for all the reasons we talked about so far. Your data is yours, and you should have control over it. With GDPR, you are not just a spectator. You're a player in the game who can call the shots about how your personal data is used. So what's next? We covered a lot today. We talked about why GDPR was introduced, the problems it aimed to solve, and how it changed the digital landscape for companies and individuals alike. In our next article, we'll dive into the scope and jurisdiction of GDPR to understand who it affects and how. By understanding the why behind GDPR, you're well on your way to becoming informed about how to protect your data and why it's so crucial in today's digital age. So, why was GDPR introduced? To make the digital world more secure, transparent, and fair for all of us. Remember, in a world full of data, knowledge is your best defense. So thank you for joining us for another lesson. Stay tuned for more insights on this essential regulation. Happy learning!